Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Hey everyone, how you doing? Can you guys hear me? Loud and crystal clear. Thank you for joining. I'm really excited. This is like a last minute press conference on the Menendez brothers. We're expecting at least like 24 of their family members to speak today. So I'm super excited to see what they're going to say. We also have Rosie O'Donnell and the lawyer for the Menendez brothers, Mark Garagos, are also going to be there. So this is a huge press conference coming up at 4 p.m. Eastern. Hello, everyone. How's your day going? I'm washing curtains. It is so beautiful here in Florida today. We have like no humidity or low humidity. It's beautiful. We've got the windows open. It's breezy. I've been cleaning, listening to Leilani Simon. Tomorrow starts Sarah Boone. So first I wanted to read this letter to you. Hello, Beverly. Hello, Josie. Yes, Rosie. She's speaking. Hey, Kels. She's speaking for them, and we went over her podcast on a previous episode. I'm not a huge Rosie fan either, but I do like her message. She's, kind of raising awareness for the fact that not just girls are molested by their daddies, but it also can happen to boys. Hi, Trix. Hi, Sherry. Good to see you. I know. It's like watching The View. But what happened was yesterday the DA released a screenshot of Erik's letter to his cousin, and then he deleted it. But the media all got it. I got it. This is page 2. Hey, Music City. This is page 2 of Erik's letter to his cousin about the abuse. This is part of the new evidence. So I'm going to read through this before the press conference starts so you guys know what this evidence means. So it says, at times I wish I could talk to her about things, you know? And I think he's talking about his mom, Kitty. Someday, especially Dad and I. But the way she worships him and tells him everything. I'm having a hard time reading this, but the way she worships him and tells him everything. I'm so afraid she'll tell him whatever I say. I just can't risk it. Oh, we are live. Let me get that pulled up. We're waiting, but we're live. So let's put this over here. And I'll read you guys the letter. Let me mute it.
Yes, testing 1, 2, 3. Hello? Is this thing on?
It's on. We hear you, baby.
Hello? Hi, guys. Oh, hi, Nancy. How are you? Yay,
Oh, I'm good.
This is Nancy.
How are you?
Rolling Stone.
Nancy from Rolling Stone is there.
Thank you guys for all coming out today. Seriously. It means a lot to the family. Hi, how are you? Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
So good to see you. There's a fly in here.
Yeah.
It's so good to see you. Hi, Lovey. Kendo. Hey, Kendo. Good to see you, babe. Okay, we're going to mute her for a minute. I want to finish this letter. Okay, so at times I wish I could talk to her about things, you know? Some days, especially Dad and I, but the way she worships him and tells him everything, I'm so afraid she'll tell him whatever I say. I just can't risk it. Lyle got in a huge fight with her over why we couldn't spend Christmas with the rest of the family. And Mom freaked out and said if he wanted to go, he could go alone. I just don't know why she wants to hurt him like that. Lyle wanted to stay, but Dad wouldn't let him. So I'm stuck here alone. I've been trying to avoid Dad. It's still happening, Andy, but it's worse for me now. I can't explain it. He is so overweight that I can't stand to see him. I never know when it's going to happen, and it's driving me crazy. Every night I stay up thinking he might come in. I need to put it out of my mind. I know what you said before, but I'm afraid. You just don't know Dad like I do. He's crazy. He's warned me 100 times about telling anyone, especially Lyle. Am I a serious wimpus? I don't know if I'll make it through this. I can't handle it, Andy. I need to stop thinking about it. Anyway, I hope you're doing good. How's your new girlfriend, Allison? She sounds pretty great. When do I get to meet her? I can see why you don't want to leave Puerto Rico. Ha ha. I hear you're playing a lot of soccer. That's great. I love soccer too. But I had to, and then it stops. But we all know that his dad made him stop playing soccer. He really liked playing soccer. But Dad didn't let him play soccer. He made him play tennis. And what was the other sport? Swimming. He made him do swimming and tennis. Because someone in José Menendez family was like a pro swimmer. And then I think Jose wanted to be a pro tennis player. So he was living vicariously through his boys. Hey, Global. Good to see you. Kendo, how you doing? Ganja, what's up? It's super sad. It's super sad. So now we have 24 of their family, extended family, coming together in this press conference with Rosie O'Donnell and Mark Garagos. Yeah, Jose was a demon. I agree. He was an awful individual. All right, let's unmute and see what's going on here with the gal. But that is going to be evidence in the trial. So that's one of the pieces of evidence that is being looked at right now by the DA's office. No, she's not family to the Bros. Rosie O'Donnell. So what happened was Lyle wrote to Lyle wrote to Rosie O'Donnell back in the 90s. She ignored him because she didn't know the whole story. Well, ever since the new evidence came out a year ago and the boys filed their habeas for early release, she has reached back out to Lyle. And, you know, her whole thing with the podcast, she did a podcast with Lyle from prison. And her big thing is raising awareness. Did you, Mai? This is all over TikTok. Tara Mama says the only thing I support Rosie in doing is in doing good for her being behind this. Wow, Cheryl T coming in hot.
Coming in hot, just like the fajita.
She says Jose was a pig and he got what he deserves. Sorry, but it is my opinion. No pity. Damn, girl. There is no love to Jose Menendez from Auntie Cheryl. Good afternoon, two old crows. Welcome in. Diana, it's so good to see your beautiful face. Robin, do you have power yet? It's hard to believe these things happen considering everything's coming out of the... Hard not to believe, right? Hey, Wispy. What's up, Pine? Good to see you. And yes, please take a second to hit that like button. The new evidence, Monica, is the letter I just showed and read. Good afternoon, Midwest. Good afternoon, everybody coming in. They're prepping for this press conference of the extended family of the Menendez brothers. So the new evidence is the letter I just showed and also the testimony of Roy Rossello of Menudo. Roy Rossello came out and said that Jose Menendez drugged and raped him.
La, 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 okay. La, la. You don't hold account.
Thank you, Paul, for subscribing. So that's the deal. So the Menendez, Roy Rossello, Menudo, rather, his testimony of saying that he was drugged and raped by Jose Menendez. And the letter. The letter was written by Erik to his cousin about 8 months before the murders. And the Menudo guy kind of backs up Erik's claim to the abuse. Juju B says, I'm really wondering how Gaskin will handle this since it's an election year. He's been very outspoken about it, Juju. He actually came out and said, you know, I'm not looking at this like most prosecutors would. He said, I am looking at this from a different eye, from a modern standpoint where this is different. You know, it's a different time. We view these things in a different way in 2024 than we did in 1990. Hey, Delaney. No, it has not started yet. Is he? I don't know much about him. I just really liked the way he spoke about this. Yes, the father was the CEO. Hey, Dupsy, good to see you again. The father was the CEO of RCA Records. He was also over some of their film companies as well. Before that, he worked for Hertz. He was the national, like, I don't know if he was the COO. I don't know what he was. He was a big wig for Hertz. He was actually instrumental in getting O.J. Simpson set up with Hertz commercials. Catnip, get any more winning scratch offs? No, actually, I'm going to turn in my $15 winner today and get more. I'm addicted. Hi, Nicole. I note to self. You live in LA County. Oh, wow. No, you're not late. We just got done going through the letter from Erik to his cousin, and then now we're waiting for the press conference. Lots of media there. We've got Rolling Stone there. We've got TMZ there. The Associated Press. This is a big deal to everyone who has followed this case. Good afternoon, Incognito Potato.
Bring it all in.
Hey, Pattern. It is crazy. It is crazy. Let it roll. So I spent my day listening to Leilani's trial and on the phone with FEMA. 3 hours to find out I was denied for FEMA. Make it make sense? Lauren, I hope they... Hang on, let me pin your comment, hon. I hope they get released. Oh, my gosh. I was essayed by my father. Oh, hon, I'm so sorry that happened. Hold on, let me fix this. But I love that people are comfortable talking about it, Lauren. You are a survivor, and you should be proud of yourself. I was essayed by my father and didn't tell anyone till I was out on my own. I felt shameful and was afraid to tell. I get upset when people say, quote, they should have told someone. Lauren, I just want to say you are a very, very strong woman, and I am so glad that you're here and sharing your story. You guys don't think the state is proving beyond a reasonable doubt of Leilani? I am too. I'm so sorry. Everybody who's gone through that shit. Okay, let's do this. Wispy says, I haven't followed this part of the story. How many believe the brothers? Put a 1 if you believe them. Just trying to grasp some stats. I hope that is okay to ask. Absolutely. Put a 1 if you believe that the brothers were molested by their father. Because you know it didn't make sense. The whole bit of money they got, the little bit of money they got due to the fact if they don't allow the mother and father together, they would have been a whole right. To say they did it for money is ridiculous. I agree. Criminology. I didn't tell anyone either. My father was a police officer. I'm so sorry, Crime. That is so scary. A lot of you guys. Kendio. She says Kendio. Is that like cameo?
Ooh, that will scare somebody.
Lots of you guys believe him. You know, back in the 90s when they were convicted, people didn't believe them. People thought they were spoiled little brats just saying all of this to try to get out of murder because all they wanted was money. Their father was José Menendez. Their father was José Menendez. And it's funny that the DA shared that note and then deleted it. And it links their dad to the sex abuse. So what do you think of that? The fact that the DA released it and then later deleted it. There's Robert Rand. See Robert Rand? He's standing there with the cane. Oh, I just love that man. I love Robert Rand. So Robert Rand actually met the Menendez brothers right after their arrest. He's known them all these years. He wrote a wonderful book. It is so detailed and so interesting. Right, Pat, you didn't talk about this back in the day. And if a boy said they were molested by their father, they were called gay. They were made fun of. They were ridiculed. It's horrible. FreeEricandLyle.org. But Robert Rand is just, he's such a good man. He really is. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. But he's in the brown coat and the blue jeans. He's been a huge advocate for the brothers all these years. I'm glad you have power, Robin. Tara says, I think by the time this is all over, they'll get out time served. They've done more than time served because I think back in the day, they would have actually been accused of manslaughter. Especially boys, right, Lovey? I think they spent the money because their father told them they were cut from the will. I think that them spending the money was a big F you to Jose. Yes, globalism. The whole thing with Dr. Oziel was a bunch of crap. Robert Rand is a writer. So he wrote The Menendez Brothers, the shocking untold story of the Menendez family and the killings that stunned the nation. Here is the link to his Amazon book if you guys are interested. He also has done a lot of interviews. You can probably find them on YouTube. I do think that crime. I think that there are other victims. And I heard that one other came forward, but they're not being named. So, Menendez brothers, monsters or victims? Put a 1 for victim, put a 2 for monsters. 1 victim, 2 monsters. So, journalist Robert Rand originally reported on the case for the Miami Herald and Playboy. He has followed the Menendez murders from the beginning. And that is Robert Rand. 1 victims, 2 monsters. Me too, Tennessee Mama. All right, here we go, guys. It looks like we're getting started. As we buffer. Why are we buffering? All right, here we go, guys. Let's unmute this. Where's my mouse? It's so weird seeing some of these people from the trial that are all, much, much older now. There's Kitty's sister. That is Kitty Menendez's sister that just hugged that man. I think that's Mark Garagos. Everyone's getting so old. I have a whole playlist on this. It is pinned at the top of the chat. But we have Kitty's own sister. You're welcome. Thank you for being here, Amy. And then we've got their kids' probably. This is Jose's sister, I think, is there. I'm sure they'll introduce themselves.
Okay. Do I need a close-up, or is this fine?
That's Mark Garagos. I know, I love Garagos. The uncle thinks they shouldn't get out, Kitty's brother. I don't think he would be there because these are all family members that want him out. Right, they should have never had their defense ripped from them. This is crazy. This is history, man. You guys are watching history in the making. I find it to be absolutely fascinating. Hey, Desiree. It's good to see you here, Pine.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Garagos. I, along with Cliff Gardner, represent Lyle and Erik Menendez. I also have here today Alex Kazarian, Sitar Kasim is somewhere, and Gina Glamian, who have been working for the last 18 months in order to get a release for Lyle and Erik Menendez. A couple of weeks ago, and so that you understand the background of it, back in May, we filed a writ of habeas corpus. A judge in this courthouse, Judge William Ryan, issued what's called an informal request for a reply. That informal request for a reply was to ask the DA to respond to the allegations of new evidence. Part of the 2 prongs of new evidence were, number one, a letter that was
The
found
letter we just went over.
at Marta Cano's house. That was a letter written by Erik fully 8 months before the killings to his cousin Andy. His cousin Andy testified at the trial. However, in the second trial, was demeaned as making this up or was not true. This letter now shows or corroborates that Andy was telling the truth. The letter describes the abuse. The letter, I believe, was released, at least temporarily, by the DA's office, and anybody who wants it, we can release that as well.
Yep.
The other
Me too,
pillar
Nicole.
of the writ of habeas corpus was a declaration by Roy Rosello. The declaration by Roy Rosello is incredibly important for a number of reasons. Number one, Roy Rosello, who was a member or a then member of the band Menudo, was and took great courage at Nuri's finding him and talking to him to sign a declaration that said that he too was assaulted by the father, and not only assaulted, but it happened at the house. The reason that's important is that it corroborates what was testified to in trial number one, that it corroborates the fact that the safe place that Jose thought he had was in the house. It corroborates what the family members said was the very uncomfortable rule in that house, that you could not go down the hallway if Jose was with one of the boys. That was the ground upon which he prayed. We have those two items. Now, there is a separate track. About 3 months ago, we sent a petition, and mind you, the DA's office, there's been those who have said, well, this is election nearing, blah, blah, blah. We filed this, and the DA has been, Mr. Gascon's office, has been engaged with us productively, strongly, for well over a year. Joan, who you will hear from in about 5 minutes, we actually, because of her young age, she turns 93 next month,
Aww.
we had what's a very rare thing done back in December, which is called a conditional examination. It's a deposition in a criminal case to preserve her testimony. She was there with her lawyer, Brian Friedman, who represents the family. And what we are also on a parallel track doing is asking, and have been asking, the DA to look at the work they have done and resentence them, to support the resentencing. Now, when I say the work they have done, Lyle and Erik have started, mind you, since 2005, up until the time that Judge Ryan issued the request for an informal reply, have had no hope of ever getting out. Since 2005, they had exhausted all legal remedies. They had resigned themselves to being in prison for the rest of their lives. You could take two tracks on that. You could either just become a hardcore, irreconcilable recidivist, or you could do what they've done, which is create programs, counsel people, develop amazing programs, mentoring people, go to college, get degrees. Lyle, in fact, graduated from the first ever class in June. I watched it, of a combination of UCI along with the Department of Corrections. The first class, Mr. Friedman and I were there, of 22 prisoners who got their BA degree while in prison.
That's awesome.
And a bunch of them life without parole. So there is an idea that there is redemption. There is an idea with their green space project of rehabilitation. I will tell you, in over 40 years of doing this, I have never seen the amazing, exemplary rehabilitation and mitigation evidence that we have now presented to the DA's office. We're going to hear from the family today briefly, and I will tell you, I'll give you kind of a coming attraction. I will start with Anna Maria. She will tell you exactly the genealogy. We have over 20 relatives, both
Wow.
Kitty and Jose's sides of the
Over
family.
20.
This is virtually unprecedented in my practice, and I would dare say it anywhere, that 20 family members on both sides, victims, constitutional victims under Marsy's law, are here to urge the DA to resentence. When, after they're finished speaking to you today, we will then, Mr. Friedman will take them across the street to the Hall of Justice, and they will go through what Gascon does in resentencing, and they will meet with the resentencing unit. They will, under the California Constitution, Marsy's law, they will voice their opinion on why they believe it's time that these gentlemen come home. That they've spent over 35 years, and I've said it once, I've said it twice, if they were the Menendez sisters, they would not be in custody.
Yep.
We have evolved.
So
it's time.
true. I
and
love it.
Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Anna Maria, who's going to come up and speak.
Good afternoon, everyone. Buena tarde. My name is Ana Maria Baralt. I am the niece of José Menendez. I stand before you today not just as a member of the Menendez family, but as someone who believes in truth, justice, and healing. Before I get started, I just want to say that I know this is an election season, but for us, this is not a political issue. This is about truth, justice, and healing. On behalf of our whole family, it is my honor to formally introduce our new coalition, Justice for Erik and Lyle. Like so many others, I struggled to process the events of that fateful August day and the loss that I felt. Over time, it became clear that there were two other victims there on that day, my cousins Lyle and Erik. Lyle and Erik would continue to be victimized. They would be victims of a system that wouldn't hear them. And they would be victims of a culture that was not ready to listen. They would be mocked. They would be called cold-blooded killers, left to rot in jail and denied any hope of redemption. If Lyle and Erik's case were heard today, with the understanding we now have about abuse and PTSD, there is no doubt in my mind that their sentencing would have been very different. And yet, despite their circumstances, they have chosen a life of light. Without hope of release, they persevered. They have sought to better themselves and serve as a support and inspiration for survivors all over the world. Their continued incarceration serves no rehabilitative purpose. It's time to recognize the injustice they've suffered and allow them the second chance they deserve. Now here we are, both sides of the family united, sharing a new bond of hope. Hope that with the re-examination of their case, a new outcome will be reached. Hope that this 34-year nightmare will end and that we will be reunited as a family. I am here to ask the District Attorney's Office to take into account the full picture, the truth that was hidden for so long. Lyle and Erik deserve a chance to heal, and our family deserves a chance to heal with them. Please join us. Visit www.justiceforerikandlyle.org and sign our petition. And if you'll indulge me, I have two more statements to read. The first is from my mother, 85 years old, Terry Baralt, the sister of José Menendez. She can't be with us today due to health challenges, but she sent me this. I'm sorry that I can't be there in person to support my nephews, Lyle and Erik. I begin chemo soon and my doctor says no flights. I need to be strong. I wish to make it clear that I stand firmly with this family. I am Lyle's godmother, and I love them both very, very much. My nephews have spent 3 decades in prison helping others. I have seen great growth in them. Even the law enforcement supervisors and corrections have written letters to the court asking for their resentencing and release. Millions across this country agree. I implore the District Attorney's Office to end our prolonged suffering and release Lyle and Erik back to our family. 35 years is such a long time. My prayer is that I live long enough to see my nephews again and to hug them once more. I have another statement, and this is written by a family member of Marta Cano and Andy Cano, that Andy, the one to whom the letter was written.
Andy passed away.
This is written by one of Marta's children. Thank you for giving our family the opportunity to express our thoughts during this pivotal time in Lyle and Erik's case. Our family's tragedy has always been very public and has been extensively covered by many media platforms. Marta and Andy Cano would have wanted to speak today, but unfortunately they are both unable to do so. Marta is in memory care, but she spent decades supporting Lyle and Erik. Sadly, we lost Andy shortly before his 30th birthday, and we miss him every day. Both Marta and Andy deeply loved Lyle and Erik. They both believed in justice, but they also believed in a second chances and forgiveness. It has been 35 years since this happened, and we feel enough penance has been paid. It is time for them to be released and for all of us to move on and continue healing as a family. Again, if you want to help, please join us at justiceforlyleanderik.org and sign our petition. With that, I'm going to be followed by several members of the Anderson family. First will be Alan Anderson. He's the nephew of Kitty Menendez. Of Kitty Menendez. And the second will be Karen, the niece of Kitty Menendez. But first, Joan Vandermillen, sister of Kitty Menendez. Please join us.
Joan is 90. I think he said 92. Oh, bless her heart. I'm going to cry.
Soldiers, thank you.
Wow.
Not very much.
Y'all crying?
Paper, is it?
I'm not crying. You crying?
They're not even mine, but yes.
92 years old?
They match the time.
Okay. Please know that I'm nervous and full of emotions. I never thought this day would come. I am Kitty's sister. I stand here today with a heavy heart and also with hope and justice and understanding. We have received such an outpouring support in recent weeks, which led us to launch this formal initiative. For many years, I struggled with terms with what happened to my sister's family. It was a nightmare none of us could have imagined.
She is so with it.
But as details of Lyle and Erik's abuse came to light, it became clear that their actions, while tragic, were the desperate response of two boys trying to survive the unspeakable cruelty of their father. As their aunt, I had no idea of the extent of the abuse they suffered at the hands of my brother-in-law. None of us did. But looking back, I can see the fear and tension that their father had instilled on them. They were just children who could have been protected and were instead brutalized in the most horrific ways. The truth is, Lyle and Erik were failed by the very people who should have protected them, by their parents, by the system, by society at large. When they stood trial, the whole world was ready to believe that the boys could be raped. Was not ready, not ready. The whole world was not ready to believe boys could be raped, or that young men could be victims of sexual violence. Today we know better. We know that abuse has long-lasting effects, and victims of trauma sometimes act in ways that are very difficult to understand. In the years since their conviction, society's understanding of sexual abuse and its psychological impact has grown significantly. We understand that a person doesn't need to fit a specific mold, whether it's gender or socioeconomic status, in order to experience abuse. In their case, if it were tried today, the evidence of their father's abuse would not only be admitted in court, it would provide essential context for why they acted as they did. No jury today would issue such a harsh sentence without taking their trauma into account. Lyle and Erik have already paid a heavy price, discarded by a system that failed to recognize their pain. They have grown, they have changed, and they have become better men despite everything that they've been through. It's time to give them the opportunity to live the rest of their lives free from the shadow of their past. While I recognize it is election season, this isn't about us or about the politics. It's about finding the truth, delivering justice, creating space for healing. I want to thank everyone who has reached out to our family in recent days and weeks, asking how they can help. Today we have an answer. Please sign our petition at www.justiceforerikandlyle.org and urge the district attorney's office, no matter who holds the DA position, to consider all the evidence, both old and new, and to bring together justice for the family. And thank you very much for listening to me. I'm sorry I'm so nervous I can't help it.
God, she did wonderful. I just signed the petition. Bless her heart. I know, she's so sweet.
Next, we have Alan Anderson, nephew of Kitty Menendez.
Hello, and thank you everybody for being here. Hello, my name is Brian A. Anderson Jr. I am the Kitty of Menendez. I'm Kitty Menendez's nephew. I am proud to be a member of this family and to help spearhead this formal effort to organize and galvanize all the support we have received. Together, I believe we can finally bring justice for my cousins, Lyle and Erik. I've known Lyle and Erik my whole life. I can tell you without a doubt that they are not the villains they've been portrayed as. They were boys, young, scared, and abused by their father in ways no child should ever experience. You, the media, focused so much on their actions, but they never were able to tell the full story of their abuse that drove them to such desperate measures. When I think about the pain and suffering they endured, it breaks my heart to know that the system failed them so profoundly. They tried to protect themselves the only way they knew how. But instead of being seen as victims, they were vilified. Their father's abuse was dismissed, their trauma ignored, and their truth mocked by millions. Today, we know that trauma can lead to actions that, while difficult to understand, are rooted in survival. Lyle and Erik acted out of fear, but the jury never heard the full story. If their trial were held today, their father's abuse would be front and center in their defense, and I believe the outcome would be very different. Lyle and Erik are not the same people they were 35 years ago. They've shown that they are more than their past. They are survivors and deserve a chance to rebuild their lives. They are no longer a threat to society. Please do not misconstrue this to be political. Justice should prevail and transcend politics. I am asking the district attorney's office, regardless of who the DA is or becomes, to reconsider their case with the knowledge we now have about their abuse. Lyle and Erik deserve a second chance to heal, a chance to be free, and to live the rest of their lives without the shadow of their past hanging over them. I firmly believe that if they were to come to my house, knock on my door, I would answer that door, I would welcome them in with huge hugs, my wife would make them a dinner, and I'd give them a pillow and a place to sleep.
Look at Garagos.
Thank you for being here today, supporting justice for Lyle and Erik, Please go to our website, learn the truth about their story, and sign our petition. Thank you.
The site is like overloaded, guys.
Please welcome Karen Vandermullen, niece of Kitty Menendez.
Kitty's niece.
Good afternoon. There's a lot of you, and I'm very nervous. My name is Karen Vandermullen Copley. I am Kitty Menendez's niece, and I'm here today speaking out because I have believed for many years that the truth needs to be known about what really happened to my cousins Lyle and Erik. From the beginning, I believed Lyle and Erik were victims of their father's abuse. I grew up knowing and feeling something wasn't right. The feeling in their house and the father-son interactions were just off. But it was not until the first trial that the full horror of what they had to live through came to light. My sister Diane had evidence of their abuse. That was not even allowed to be presented at the trial. I cannot help but think of how things would be different if the world had known the truth back then, or if they had been the Menendez sisters. Adults of abuse have difficulty getting out of their situations, and yet these were two young boys who were never allowed to make decisions on their own. They lived in constant fear and were unable to make any other decisions than the sexual violence that they were taught at the very hands of people who were supposed to love and protect them. Their sometimes misunderstood behaviors were cries for help that many of us wished we had realized and responded to far sooner. What happened is tragic, but I forgive my cousins. I have forgiven them forever, because I know they were acting out of fear and desperation. These were children, just 6 and 8 years old, who didn't understand their own bodies. No child should ever have to endure that kind of pain. This abuse trapped them. It was painful and it terrified them. Their father's abuse shattered their lives and the family's lives, and the courts failed them, failed to recognize their trauma, compounding this tragedy.
I think she might be, Danielle. I think you might be right.
We live in a time now where we understand how abuse can shape a person's actions, male or female. We live in a time now where we understand what trauma does to the brain development of a child. If Lyle and Erik's trial happened today, the outcome would be drastically different. The evidence of their father's abuse would have been a central part of their defense. And it's very likely they would not have received such harsh sentences. Lyle and Erik have spent most of their lives in prison, paying for their actions. During that time, they have become supporters and advocates for children who have suffered sexual violence. I believe they have suffered enough. I ask the district attorneys to take into account the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I believe they have paid for their crimes, and we as a family have all suffered enough. We are here for them and ready to support Erik and Lyle after released. This is a time for truth and justice, and the time for the path to healing. It is time for Erik and Lyle to come home. We are here for them. Please visit our website and sign our petition. We would love nothing more than for our mom to be able to wrap her arms around Erik and Lyle outside prison walls before she is unable to do so. Thank you. Thank you all.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Friedman, and I represent the extended family members of the Menendez family. First of all, the family is gathered here in support, and really thanks everyone for coming out and for being here and for supporting one message, which is, this shouldn't happen again. And this needs to stop now. And that what needs to happen is the consideration of second chances, the consideration of the abuse, and changing what we know in our society to be wrong, and we know in our society to give people second chances. The families here united. Erik and Lyle have been through so much in 35 years, but these family members have been through so much 35 years. They're going to go across the street now. They're going to meet with the DA's office. They're going to exercise their constitutional rights under Marcy's laws to be heard. And they would respect and ask if they could make that journey peacefully so that they can share their truth, desires, and honesty with the DA's office. And again, thank you for the support and for being here. And Mark Garagos, thank you.
As Brian said, if we can let, especially Joe, get across, I'll answer some questions in about 2 minutes, if that works. Yes. Yeah, I'll speak to that in just 1 minute. If you wait just 2 minutes, we have stuff to talk about there.
I love how he takes care of Joan. He's so respectful to Joan. Oh, he's helping her. I love Mark Garagos. I hope that this woman gets to see them in person. He's going to take some questions, y'all.
Which one? Here you go, guys.
There's Robert Rand. Aw. He's getting old, too.
God willing, I never do this again.
God willing, I'd never do this again. Do you hear that?
Yeah, give me 3
Cairo,
minutes.
Michigan.
Just let me get
Coming in hot from the Michigan.
Let me get Joan situated.
You take care of Joan, Mark. We'll wait. She did so good reading and everything. My God, 92 years old. That was pretty impressive. Look at the orange suit guy.
Over 30.
Everyone deserves an Auntie Joan, yeah.
What are you asking, sir? We'll get to it.
What does he want?
Okay, yes. No, we taught, part of what Brian had referred to is under Marcy's law, the California Constitution requires that victims get a say. So what we did is the DA's office, when they heard that we were doing the press conference, extended the invitation for the family to come over and hear about Marcy's law, to hear about exactly what their feelings are. I will tell you, and I said it before, that the DA's office from 18 months ago has taken this very seriously. And I say that because there are times, whether it's high profile, low profile, that I don't get the feeling that we're being heard. I get the feeling here that we have been being heard. I get the feeling that there is genuine, I think the DA has mentioned in his remarks that there is a division in the office. I understand that. I mean, I get that. But I don't think that there should be any division when you've got a united front of this many family members. And I know somebody had asked me about one of the family members. I would just say I don't want to cast aspersions on anyone. All I will say is think about your own family. Do you think you could get almost unanimous support out of your own family and extended relatives for anything you do? So I'll leave it at that.
Mark, this ever paid public attention to the story, pretty public attention to the story takes apart to the documentaries, by Murphy series, public support from people like Clifford Ashton and Rose McDonald. How do you think this will all impact Lyle and Erik?
Well, I think interestingly, and I don't know how you measure something like this, but I have been, obviously I was practicing when this trial took place. I remember in 1994 representing a woman in Pomona, and we used the battered woman syndrome, and she got a voluntary manslaughter, she got probation. And I remember at the time being struck by the idea, and I've confirmed it now in the transcripts of their second trial, struck by the idea that the DA's office on the second trial took the position, and it may not have been wrong at the time, that the battered woman syndrome, that something that diminishes your intent, did not apply to child abuse. And that was on the record, and that's what the judge ruled. So
what happened?
I think, or how was this evolved? First of all, the younger generation, I hate to say it, is that when the Ryan Murphy series came out, it was such a caricature of them that the pendulum swing backlash actually created a focus on it, and people then took a look. I know that I've seen some of those videos of the first trial that was televised where the DA's office was taking the position that men could not be raped, they don't have the equipment. And you've seen all kinds of arguments along those lines. That is unfathomable in today's age to people who weren't alive back then. So I think that evolution has been, frankly,
the younger generation was
seismic.
like, what?
I think one of the reasons that we mentioned early on and that the family has said it, they had absolutely no hope after 2005. So after 2005, they didn't believe, they thought they were going to spend the rest of their life in prison. And they had resigned themselves to it. And all of the programs, I invite anybody to take a look at what's called the Green Space program that they have. The Green Space program that they have created down there, that's based on the Norwegian model, that is something that they have done in order to reacclimate prisoners who are being released. I look at both the external programs that they've done and the introspection and work they've done on themselves. I've used the term cautiously optimistic. I mean, there is an irony that DA politics played a role in their conviction. Well, look, I've said it before. And
Listeros has
Joan,
just
who you
donated
saw,
$1.99.
November, I want to say the 26th, she turns 93. Nothing she'd like more than to have them home for Thanksgiving.
93.
That's what the question was. What do you say to the people who say they acted out of greed? I have two responses to that. Number one, that's why the letter that predates the killing from Erik to Andy is so important. Number one, it corroborates that it was happening before. Number two, people forget this, probably before you were born. They went to the grand jury. The DA's office went to the grand jury on the financial motive theory. The grand jury, which will indict anybody on anything, the grand jury rejected that theory. So that is another one of the urban legends. Thank you. Thank you.
Mark, has the DA made any overtures to meet with Lyle and Erik, and have you encouraged him to do so?
Well, I don't think that the protocol in the DA's office is anything but what we're doing today. The protocol today is that you meet with the resentencing unit, you get informed of Marcy's law, and you go from there.
What a clown.
I don't know.
Sit down.
I will tell you, I've represented, excuse me for 1 second.
What the French call les incompetents.
So I don't know that they're, other than one-offs, and there's always going to be one-offs. I mean, it's the criminal justice system. It was a polarizing case. Remember, part of what happened was, back in the 90s, they became a caricature. They were parodied on Saturday Night Live. I would venture to say that would not happen today. So it's America. There's people with diverse opinions. I just would reiterate, there were 2 juries in trial number 1, back in the 90s. 2 juries, one for Erik, one for Lyle. 24 jurors who deliberated. Half of them voted not guilty on murder. Half.
Mark, you need to talk with Edgardo Diaz, manager de Menudo. You need to recollect for this process. Or another Menudo talked with you.
Well, I've said before that the Menudo Declaration by Roy Rosello is important. But you combine it with, by the way, that is so that you can separate the mental gymnastics. Part of this is to overturn the conviction. The other part is that I think is unassailable, even to your question, to anybody who says, well, they shouldn't get out. The law in California is crystal clear. Resentencing, they qualify under the resentencing laws on every single factor. It's almost, I hate to say that anything's a slam dunk in the criminal law, but under the resentencing laws in California, they clearly qualify. We filed originally for the conviction to be overturned. That's what a writ of habeas corpus is. The other component of this is a resentencing, so it's 2 tracks. You can pause the habeas while you consider the resentencing. So it's walking and chewing gum at the same time. But if the habeas would be granted, you would get a new trial. If they are resentenced, the judge under California law has the ability to recall the sentence and sentence them to a wide range of options.
And that's because resentencing is what I understand. If he feels, they've been rehabilitated, they're no longer a threat to society, they paid their debt to society, they would qualify under resentencing.
Correct. And in fact, I will also tell you, and we may release it tomorrow, part of the mitigation package that we presented to the DA are letters from correctional officers, high-ranking correctional officers, who attest to the phenomenal rehabilitation.
Sean?
We have a number of correctional officers who have actually said if released, they should be released, and that they would welcome them as neighbors in their neighborhood. I'm going to take 2 more questions because I want to get over there to meet with the DA as well. What? I won't speak to whether they have a plan. I just think that in order to get through each day, that you've got to just ground yourself. It's a long road from life without for almost 17 years to being hopeful. So that's I kind of learned. One last question. Somebody, some wag, I don't know who it was, I could give him credit, said about Ryan Murphy that, of course, he's going to take credit. I didn't say it, so I don't know the man. Anyway, thank you.
All right, you guys, thank you. If you have any other questions, you can email me at holly_baird@garagos.com.
Just to confirm.
Oh, she's Garagos' employee.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. And we will be sending out a press release along with a link to the press conference as well, and it will be in Spanish. Correct, yes.
Holly, there's those sentencing.
Your project.
When the family goes next door, that is not a public consumption.
One second, say it again?
When the family's next door talking the sentencing unit, that is not a public consumption.
Correct.
We have no fees with that.
Correct. Holly_Baird@yaragos.com. Hi, how are you, sweetie?
She's sweet. I know when.
The letter, text me, and then I can send you the exhibits. My phone number is 310-904-9699. No problem. Yeah. So we're not doing any interviews today.
Yeah, she's definitely the boss.
Yeah. I did from, yeah. Okay, I'll text you right now.
So that way I can
Okay, no problem. All right, we'll be in touch. Yes, please. Yes.
All right. What do you... So I see we have some differing opinions, but Snazzy, I do respect your opinion as well. I have seen the mural. It's beautiful. I think they're in San Diego. Or aren't they in San Diego? Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. So Snazzy doesn't think they should make any money off of their story. And I think she says that because, you know, they're convicted murderers, right? I mean, I'll show you guys the mural. Because they're convicted murderers. So I do understand that. Yes, we have Doggy Cam down here. That's Summer Lou saying hello to everyone. Hello, Summer Lou. She's hanging with me. Okay, this is the mural. So why is this pulling up Pinterest? Hold on. So what they're actually doing with the whole here, I'll let you guys watch the video. Probably going to be an ad first. But everybody, if you want to
if your business needs a new application,
support this,
then developers
you can
will
go
have
and
to
sign
write
that
code.
petition. I know the website is busy, but keep trying because I got through and I was able to do it. What did he say? Release what tomorrow? I didn't catch that. I think the exhibitees. I think the exhibitees.
A massive mural is being painted inside Donovan State Prison. Taking part are two of its most infamous inmates, the Menendez brothers. It's the first time news cameras have seen Lyle Menendez since he was sentenced. New at 11 o'clock, 10 News reporter Matt Boone takes us inside the prison with a look at the unique mural project they're involved in.
I just think they can help other victims of SA. That's the only thing. That's why I disagree with that, Snazzy, is because they've done a lot of good in the prison. So I think that they've shown that they can do a lot of good outside the prison as well. You know what I mean? Right. Jodi Arias. Did you guys see her art? Yeah, they already did this. So what they're doing is it's called the Green. Mark mentioned it. The Green Project or something. The Green Prison Project. What they're doing is they actually got a grant and they put real grass in the courtyard, and then instead of it being all like cinder blocks, they painted it. It's all a mural. and they got fake grass and they were going to put flowers and all kinds of shit. And then they also got people to more prisoners than ever, like he was talking about. Mr. Garagos said that, the education programs have been utilized more so than ever in history. Echo Yard. Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah, Jodi Arias is selling one of her paintings for like $2,500. But let's listen to this.
That's actually not a bad starting point right there. Okay.
To turn something ugly into something beautiful.
That's why this is always the ugly part.
Requires time.
Not quite the orange I was looking for.
And a vision.
I just do my thing. I know what it's going to look like when it's done.
Robert Beckett says he's got a lot of both.
I'm painting from what I remember, more than anything, more than a picture.
Part of the vision came from Brahman Kiri, who runs spiritual outreach programs at the prison.
I would come every week and it was just like grey, and I was like, how are we going to access our heart when there's no colour on the yard?
But some of the idea also came from two of the prison's most infamous inmates, the Menendez brothers.
I spoke to Lyle and Erik, who had been thinking about a beautification thing where we're actually going to plant grass and get flowers and all that kind of stuff soon.
Erik and Lyle Menendez were convicted of murdering their parents in their Beverly Hills home in 1989. Their trial captivated the nation, including the explosive allegation that their father had sexually abused them. After spending 20 years apart in separate locations, they were reunited in 2018 at Donovan State Prison. At the time, Lyle told the Daily Mail he thought the day would never come.
Bursting the tears was just quite an emotional moment.
The canvas they're working on are these 30-foot long walls, and while it's not completed yet, their plan is to have the mural go all the way around the prison yard. Once completed, making this the longest mural in any prison in the country.
Erik and Lyle declined to be interviewed on camera while we were inside, but Lyle happily posed in front of the mural with his painting group. Despite having exhausted all of their appeals to get out, they have become involved with the rehabilitation of other inmates. Michael Robinson has been behind bars for nearly 30 years, but says Erik approached him about becoming involved in the mural project.
He helped me in a lot of ways, man. Mentally, helped me ground myself.
Painting, he says, helped that process.
I've been in prison for 27 years, and everything has been hard, concrete, and I just wanted to soften the place up a little bit.
This doesn't exist in the whole prison, just in the area known as Echo Yard, where Lyle and Erik are housed. There are inmates of all levels here, allowed in only if they can coexist peacefully. It offers yoga, meditation, movie screenings, and even puppies, who are in training to be guide dogs. The Menendez brothers say they've become involved in trying to help others get out and make it more livable in the meantime. Most recently, organizing a fundraising campaign to put grass in the yard.
There's got to be consequences, but there's also got to be the love.
But the idea that prison is punishment still isn't lost on the inmates here.
Well, I was a little apprehensive at first, having been in prison for some time. Unfortunately, it builds a little skepticism.
Jonathan Marvin says with his prior experience in prison, he never expected he'd get the chance to paint in prison as a form of rehabilitation.
But to have something like this, take place is pretty mind-blowing.
And it seems to be working.
I do it for therapy. It keeps me grounded. It keeps me humble.
It's giving me a peace of mind.
Ruben Radillo has been in for 25 years and is finally getting out at the end of the month. For people who think they have it good painting and watching movies in prison, he argues it's helped him make a dramatic transformation before getting out.
Don't be afraid of me. I'm going to be a good neighbor, and thanks to these projects like this, it helps absolutely.
And while the Menendez brothers have no real chance of life outside these walls, projects like this are helping change how prisoners actually better themselves, for those serving life and for those who may get a second chance. In Donovan State Prison, Matt Boone, 10 News.
And Matt is joining us in studio tonight on this. Have the Menendez brothers interviewed at all since they were sentenced?
Well, they have talked to people on the phone, as you heard in the story, but as far as I know, they haven't given any news crews permission to actually film them while in prison. So we did get that look, at least for Lyle, who signed the release form, to be on camera. Erik did not. I spoke to them off camera, though.
Surprising to many people, I'm sure, that there's a painting project inside a prison. You mentioned yoga and other things as well, but it's kind of shocking.
Well, it's not in the whole prison. It's really just in this one yard. It's called Echo Yard, as explained in the story. And the people inside, the inmates, have exhibited good behavior, and they really only get 2 warnings before they're kicked out of that unit and sent back into the rest of the prison, which doesn't have all these types of programs. Of course, the goal is to help.
So they have to earn it. They have to earn
some
it.
people with even long sentences get out of there with a little bit of hope.
So that's part of the population that has access to this program.
Yeah, not the entire prison.
All right.
At least not yet.
Very interesting.
I think it's cool. I mean, it definitely can't hurt. You know, we want, if these guys are going to get out of prison, I'd rather them come out a little softer than harder. They plant gardens too. I think that's awesome. They should grow their own food. You know, they should have their own farms and take care of their own farms. I'd rather see them painting than sitting on tablets. Put a 1 in chat if you'd rather see inmates painting than playing on tablets. Oh, I know. He's like, Kelsey's like, I just explained everything in the story. Why are you questioning me, and why are you so hell-bent on their yoga? Jodi Arias art. Let's take a look. She has her own website. She communicates with people online. You do agree with that, Snaz? Yeah, I don't think any of them should be able to be on tablets. So here we go. This is one of Jodi's, her main page is one of her paintings of her on the inside, kind of looking like she's on vacay with earbuds and sunglasses on, the whole like bucket hat look. But here is some of the pricings. Okay. $1,600, $1,900. She calls this a self-portrait. Sex dwarf. It's great the mural brings justice to all the unalived. That's a stupid way to look at it. No offense, but this one made me sick. Okay. This one made me, yes, palm trees. Now, this is reminiscent to her and Travis. If you followed this case, her straddling, like a woman straddling a guy, right? Reminiscent of her and Travis Alexander. It says Sunday morning, she calls it. Yes, it's very creepy. So get this. There's a scandal behind this. There's a scandal. I know, the strawberry. It's so nasty. But listen, the scandal behind this is that there is a corrections officer. You can't make this up. There is a corrections officer who has bought one of her paintings. And if you watch Nancy Grace, there is some pissed off professionals out there saying, Arizona Department of Corrections, you need to do better. I don't know if she's got someone doing this for her or if she's able to do it herself. That I don't know. Here's another one. The skull and flowers. Why always the correction officers? I don't know, because they're around them all the time. I guess. Nothing to fear. Oh my God, these pop-ups, Jodi. Stop. Nothing to fear. Original drawing. $1,900. Yeah, I don't know. It's a male's feet, though. Look at this one. Butterflies. Yeah, Nancy Grace says, though, that what she's really doing is tracing from a magazine and then painting it. That's what Nancy Grace said. No, I thought maybe her leg's broken. I know the legs aren't adding up. I think that's just Jodi's art. Cause see how the knee's pointing out this way, but it's supposed to be her straddling someone, and it's a guy. That's a guy's feet, but it does look like the orange. It's disturbing, isn't it? I mean, she's got pages and pages. Here's another one. The key. Oh, look at this one. Siesta. She is one sick cookie. Yeah, it's like the orange jumpsuit. She says they're original. And there's people wondering how the Department of Corrections is allowing this. Look at this one. Ew. The freaking oh my God, these pop-ups. She is an original. Orange bottoms equals another inmate, probably. Crossed. That's what she calls this one, crossed. She's crazy as hell. Teacher. But for a 13 by 19, it's $40. Celebrities archive? Oh, for God's sakes. Most of the artwork featured in this page is for display purposes only. If an item is available for purchase, click the image. I'm a big fan of the Golden State Warriors, and I drew this portrait in 2016, referring to several photos of him before he grew out his beard. Oh my God, this chick. Frank Sinatra. Lucille, but look at, she has, oh my God. Jodi. None of these are for sale. I'm just looking at her archives. Commissions? Fuck is this? I don't think it should be either. Who are these people? Who's Russell? What's 122? Are these like, who are these people? Can we listen to Jodi's prison phone calls, please? Desiree and Paul. This is weird. Okay, here's general art. Oh, here, look at this one. Nice, normal woman. Look at this one, looks like a Barbie. Future so bright. Eye of the storm. Aphrodite. She is a fucking weirdo. Couch potatoes. Oh my goodness. Orchid maiden. That woman's got some long fingers. Look at all of this. She's got quotes on here and everything. Here it is. Oh, this, look at this. She's got the inspiration behind the straddle painting. The idea for Sunday morning came to me when a friend sent me a photo of the front of his crowded refrigerator. Among all the knickknacks, notes, and papers was a photo similar to what I've drawn. However, the background, lighting, flooring, and clothing differed. Even the bare feet were in a pair of 1980s knit socks. I changed it all and rendered the image with greater clarity and color saturation. What drew me to this image was the intimacy, affection, and ambiguity occurring all at once. In my imagination, the couple are sharing a spontaneous, playful hug. Maybe they're in a new house that isn't yet furnished. I like the anonymity of who's who. A lot of people could look at this image and see themselves in it with someone they love. Blech.
Psychopathy.
She's so annoying. I recreated this image of a woman named Star Nesha and her young son DJ when they were kicking it with family at the pool. I've met DJ in person. She's met this kid in person? How? Tell me how. How has she met this child in person? Creepy. Imagine being Travis Alexander's family and seeing this shit. Baby Beethoven. Look at blissful ignorance. Yeah, I have no idea, guys. But she's got a lot of art on here. But yeah, if you go, let me show you. Nancy talked about this. I think it was a day or two ago. Here, hold on.
Recognize warning signals.
This guy was like, this is the one that the correctional officer bought.
There you're talking about, I think one of the guards, quote, inspired it, because under her prints, she explains what inspired the art. Okay, everybody, get your barf bag ready, because not only is she quite the artiste making a lot of money, she's also a singer. Now, hold on, let's see if she hits the...
Oh my God, wait. So this is the print that the guard bought from her, I guess. Super disturbing. But listen, watch Nancy.
High note, listen.
Oh, hear the angel voices. Oh, night divine. Oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night. Divine, oh night.
I guess she hit it in a way. Okay, to you, Andy Kahn. This woman, think about it, Andy. looks are deceiving. Have you seen that string of photos that are being shown of her looking really pretty? She's not really pretty.
This guy started Crime Stoppers, I think.
The way I imagine her, the way I envision her is the truth of her leaving the scene of the murder literally.
Wait, hold on. Let's go back. Here is the
but it's just horrific. I wonder if she has that money and has extra, I don't know, some commissary, some money in prison to do what she wants to do. And I did hear that one of the guards even bought one of them, of the cow, I believe. So it's unbelievable.
Oh, yes, I was reading about that.
Yes.
That picture right there you're talking about, I think one of the guards, quote, inspired it because under her prints, she explained.
The guard bought. Oh, what'd you say, Amy? I missed it. I know, I love Nancy too. So Susan Smith got into trouble. Let's see if we can pull this up really quick. Yeah, here we go.
Susan Smith, the Union County mother who killed her 2 sons in 1994, has been convicted of another disciplinary violation behind bars. Take a look. This is her inmate detail report. So this is where you can find out exactly how Susan Smith has been behaving behind bars. We were looking at her profile earlier this year and had a question about a new disciplinary sanction. This one right here. It happened on August 26th. It said communication with a victim and or a witness of a crime. So we reached out to the Department of Corrections and they said that Smith was talking to a documentary filmmaker on the phone about her crimes. In an email, they told us that she agreed to provide the filmmaker with contact information for friends, family, and victims, including her former husband. The filmmaker also deposited money into Smith's account. Now, corrections inmates in South Carolina are not allowed to do telephone or in-person interviews, although they may write letters. So as a result, Smith lost her telephone, tablet, and canteen privileges for 90 days starting on October 4th. Smith is eligible for parole in November. Her 2 sons, Michael and Alex, were reported missing by her in October 1994. For 9 days, Smith went on local and national television to plead for her boys' safe return, claiming that they had been abducted by a carjacker. In reality, Smith had rolled her Mazda protege into John D. Long Lake in Union County with the 2 children strapped in their car seats.
It's relatively unlikely that you've ever known.
So, yes. She is up for parole next month. Listen to this.
I do understand why they're having to do what they're doing. I'm all they have. Right now, they have not been able to rule anyone out. I don't think I'm any more of a suspect than anyone in this case right now.
It's very painful to know that anyone would think that either of us had anything to do with this abduction of our children. But me and my wife know the truth.
Look how young they are.
Not been able to rule anyone out. I don't think I'm any more of a suspect than anyone in this case right now.
It's very...
You feel like they set who up? Susan Smith? I don't think she should ever get out. Here's Susan. This is him talking about possible parole.
This morning, we're spotlighting new reaction to Susan Smith's upcoming parole eligibility.
Us had anything to do.
Ooh, let's watch this.
How he's doing today.
I don't think I'm any more of a suspect than anyone in this case right now.
It's very painful to know that anyone would think that either of us had anything to do with this abduction of our children.
David, how do you...
She wasn't set up, Cricket. She's just an asshole. She's been caught with drugs and everything else over the years. She's got, oh no, she's not a good, no. No. She's been fucking up, but it's been many years since she's fucked up. But I don't think she should be let out. I don't think Gypsy should have been let out.
Feel about Susan wanting you to advocate for her prison release?
Here's her ex.
I think it's absurd. I can't comprehend that she even thinks that I would advocate for her.
When was the last time you talked to her?
It was about a month after she confessed and was arrested. I saw her at a prison in Colombia where she was being held at the time.
Mm-hmm. Has she tried to contact you then, since then, rather?
No, I've had no contact with Susan since that one time. We spoke for about an hour that day, and I haven't talked to her since.
David, do you plan to attend her parole hearing?
I absolutely do. I'm for sure going to be there.
Would you give us a little bit of a preview of what you plan to tell the board?
You know, at this time, I don't even know if I'm going to even write something formally on paper. I may just speak from the heart, but I just want them to know or remind them of what she did, who were the victims in this case. Certainly not her.
She really did.
And to let them know that her only doing 30 years would be an injustice to Michael and Alex. She doesn't deserve to ever be free again.
David, would you tell us a little bit about your beautiful boys, Michael and Alex?
Well, Julie, unfortunately, I still do not have a lot of memories of Michael and Alex. Early on, I sought professional help, and all of them told me the same thing, that eventually the memories would come back. But at the time, it was my own system taking care of me and not letting me have any memories of them. It was protecting me. Well, here it is, almost 30 years, and those memories haven't come back yet. I have bits and pieces, like giving them bath time with them and playing in the yard a little bit. And like Michael used to ride on the lawnmower with me, cutting grass, and he'd always go to sleep. So I have some snippets, snapshots of memory, but I don't have very many, unfortunately.
I want to say to my babies that your mama loves you so much.
David, how do you feel now about the cruel way in which Susan lied to you then?
After a lot of thinking and soul searching, I wish I had seen what other people were seeing at the time. But I just wanted to get Michael and Alex back. That was my main concern.
Tell us, have you forgiven Susan? And if so, why?
Yes, I've forgiven her. And again, that goes to my faith in God, and that's the way I was raised, that we have to forgive. But it sure doesn't take away the act of what she did. It doesn't make it any less. It doesn't make it any easier. But I have forgiven her for what she did.
Tell us, if Susan were here listening to this interview, what message would you have for her?
I would just tell her that you have no idea of how much damage you have done to so many people. I would tell her that in my capabilities, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure you stay behind bars.
This court stands adjourned.
I want to bring in the man who put away Susan Smith, attorney Tommy Pope. Tommy, would you walk us?
Poor guy. Oh, Andrea Yates. You know what, though, Northern Light or Beans? I feel like Andrea Yates' husband should have been held responsible. He knew that she was struggling with postpartum depression, and he left her alone with all those children. He should have been partially responsible. Andrea Yates was truly ill and had asked for help, right? She had been struggling for a while, and he just kept getting her pregnant. You don't do that. You don't do that when your wife has mental illness and postpartum depression. I think she was used and abused, if you want my opinion. It's very sad. Where is she? In a mental institution? Let's see. Is there any updates on her? Andrea Yates, 20 years later. Oh, wow. 14 years ago. 3 months ago.
She felt like she had this dilemma of, I love my children, in a tragic way, start a conversation that I think is her darling children would go to heaven.
Notorious child killer Andrea Yates has been in a mental hospital since she was convicted of murdering her 5 children over 2 decades ago. Yates drowned all 5 of her kids in their bathtub in their Houston home in 2001 when she was 37 years old. She waited for her husband to go to work before killing each child one by one. Part of Yates' conviction terms give her a chance to undergo a review each year. So she had a competency hearing last month. So every year they review her. But her husband just kept getting her pregnant and getting her pregnant and getting her pregnant. And it's like, dude, you can't do that shit. Oh, wow.
And so distorted, then her judgment is also going to be distorted and not right.
In 2002, Yates was tried and found guilty of capital murder. She was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 40 years. But shortly after, Yates's verdict was appealed and she was retried in 2006. If we're looking at the trajectory of her case, she went to court, she was found guilty in her original trial, and then that was appealed, and later she was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Do you think that second time around was the correct verdict?
I do. I absolutely do. I mean, even
so her husband, what was his name? Rusty? Yeah, Susan Smith is more evil. I feel like Andrea Yates was just totally mentally ill. Darlie Rowdier, I do remember that one. Isn't she the one that did Silly String? But didn't her husband, Rusty, go on to have children? Rusty Yates? And he went on to have more kids, which I think is complete bullshit. Misty, that's a rabbit hole. I've got videos about that. Oh, here's Rusty. Look, why Rusty Yates struggled whether to divorce Andrea. Rusty left her at home. Look at him. Postpartum psychosis. Look at him on the news. Oh, he says her murder trial was cruel, I guess. Here's the 911 call. 44 seconds. I've never heard this, I don't think.
On June 20th,
I don't want to get dinged.
One call from a normally town.
What's your name? What's the problem? I just need him to come. Is your husband there? No. So what's the problem? I need him to come. I need to know why we're coming, ma'am. Is he there standing next to you? Or she? Or they? Or you have to just service? Are you ill or what? Yes, I'm ill. You need an ambulance? No, I need a police officer. I've sent an ambulance.
Wow. She says, yeah, I'm ill. Sex dwarf, you are in here just to take the opposite opinion. No, I don't like Rusty. I won't leave Rusty alone. I will not.
Andrea was undergoing a battery of psychiatric exams. Reasons for the murders.
What were you trying to accomplish then when you did take your children's lives?
Maybe in their innocent years, God would take them up.
God would take them up to be in heaven, is that what you mean? All right. And if you had not taken their lives, what did you think would happen to them?
I guess they would have continued stumbling.
And where would they end up?
Hell.
In hell.
Wanting to know what Andrea meant by stumbling, the psychiatrist then asked her about her children's behavior.
What sort of things did they do which showed you they weren't right?
Well, they weren't. They just did a lot of silly stuff and didn't obey.
Didn't obey you when you told them to do things. All right. You mentioned their manners before. Can you give me an example of their manners?
When Rusty's mom would visit, they would not treat her well, call her names.
Be disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, you concluded that they were not right.
Were they Mormon? No, I don't think it was. Yeah, she looks really ill. Raw news. What's raw news? Press conference on what? What's raw news? What am I looking for? I don't know what raw news is. Yeah, I don't like Rusty either. No, I don't think it was Burke at all. I thought they were Mormon. Rusty Yates religion. Oh, Yates preacher warned of hellfire. Evangelist Michael Warnicki. That's who they followed. This is who they followed. Let's take a look at this guy. I love jumping in rabbit holes. Let's see. This was their leader. For fuck's sake. Kidding me? Now he's all old. This is what he looked like then. Ooh. He doesn't have his website anymore. This guy. Yikes. Oh, we watched it. Hey, retired EMT. This is the guy she followed. Let's see if he's got videos. Oh, Lord. Here he is. This is 14 years ago. Oh, my God. Do you guys hear Leilani in the background? It's playing on my TV. Her frickin' voice. February 4th of 2010. Let's see.
Amigo o amigos.
My name is Michael.
Me llamo Miguel y yo soy Sara.
And this is my daughter.
Y ella es mi hija.
And we are here to just share with you about Jesus.
Y nosotros estamos aquí porque queremos compartir contigo acerca de Jesús.
It's a funny thing to think about. As I said, if you knew who I was before,
Si tú,
a football player in America,
pues yo era un jugador de fútbol en los Estados Unidos
caught up in my ego,
y yo estaba con.
Oh my God, this guy is an ex-NFL player too. It sounds a lot like the cult in Tennessee with the NFL players. What the? Here he is again. This kind of shit is absolutely terrifying. GodTube. Oh, he's got it. He's got ads on this shit. Michael. Searching for heroes.
Whatever you do, to the least of my brethren, that you do unto me, that you do unto me, that you do unto me, that you do unto me. Jesus is alive.
I'm sorry, I can't watch that shit. This is the Yates. Oh, he's got a YouTube. Let's see his oldest videos. I was like, wait, the Smiths followed these people too? Oh, the one we watched is the oldest one.
we chose this circumstance of
Yeah, this is just
not to some particular.
shit. I don't like it. But anyways, I am going to wrap this up. We have been going a while. We jumped in. Let's jump out of the rabbit hole. Jump out. Jump out. Jump out. Put your tinfoil hats in the bin on your way out. Thank you guys for being here today. Thank you for the support of the Menendez brothers. If you don't support them, then not thank you for your support of the Menendez brothers. But we will definitely follow this and keep our eyes on what's going on. Thank you again for joining. And make sure you hit that like button on your way out. Let's roll our credits. See you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this live stream or video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on my latest content. Want to take it a step further?
Bring it all in.
And join our community clickers by becoming a Patreon or a YouTube member. You'll get exclusive access to our Discord server, special channel perks, and much more. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.
Click, 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 click. It's real easy, man.
I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. Damn, damn. I don't give a damn. Damn, damn. I don't give a damn. Damn, damn. I don't give a damn. You wanna be with me. You wanna feel something real, but I'm feeling different.
John Wayne Bobbitt's penis.
Get to friends, but don't wanna face the fact that I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that. Staying up late, sleeping all day.
Fucking fuzzy slippers and lip gloss.
Buying new shoes, hanging by the pool, sipping on Coke and Jack. Calling my phone when you feel alone, but I'll never call you back. 'Cause I ain't got time, I ain't got time. ain't got time for that. 'Cause I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough. Bring it all in. Problems. I don't give a damn.
Everybody does that. It's okay.
Thanks so much, Jennifer.
Everybody does that. It's okay.
Just based on my observations, her hair was very greasy.
Bye, Jennifer.